on Donald Trump today, not in Iowa.
No.
Donald Trump today is in Washington, D.C. at a court hearing, not that he has to go to, but that he has chosen to go to. And it's an appeal court hearing about the aftermath of the presidential election and then what unfolded on January the 6th. And the judge has ruled that he must stand trial for trying to nullify the result of the election and for insurrection and all the rest of it that we've covered on this podcast before. But Donald Trump is appealing it, and it's going to appeal court judges today about whether Donald Trump has immunity from prosecution because he was president at the time and therefore he can more or less do and say whatever he likes. And you can be sure that if Donald Trump loses today and the appeal court says, yeah, this case can go ahead, then it's going to go to the Supreme Court. And this is all part of tactics by Donald Trump that have two aspects to it. First aspect is that this is great campaigning material. There's no difference between Donald Trump in court and Donald Trump on the stump. They are all furthering his fundraising, his campaigning, his monopoly of the airwaves. The second part of it, and this is the really big part of it, is that actually Donald Trump is trying to push the 4 big court cases that he is facing so far into the future that the presidential election will have happened before any case reaches a conclusion. And that is crucial.
Yeah, he is actually fighting his criminal prosecutions as hard as he is fighting to win the nomination or indeed the election, because he has calculated that if he can push them down the calendar year to a point of no return, then whatever happens in the criminal cases will no longer bear weight, or at least that if he does become president, he can overturn them, he can move away from them, he can call them, as he has done so many times, a witch hunt, and they won't touch the sides of his political power. And that is why, in essence, it is so crucial. Before the holidays, we talked about the Colorado case where the Supreme Court had ruled that Donald Trump's name would be removed from the ballot in Colorado. This was Amendment 14, whereby if he had engaged in insurrection, he would not be eligible. That is going now to the Supreme Court. We won't hear their ruling, their case for it, for another month until February the 8th, by which time, just to take us back to the beginning of things, we will have had results in Iowa. We will have had results in New Hampshire. He will have already started his year of campaigning without that getting in his way. And each time he wins, it becomes much harder, I would say, for the courts of law to actually try and tell the American public they can't vote for him.
And everyone looks at Donald Trump and says, look at this guy who built this business empire, and here is the successful man of enterprise. Where Donald Trump has been most successful is slowing down the legal process. Whenever anyone has threatened him, he has sued again, he has employed armies of lawyers whose sole job is to put sand in the gears so that the engine splutters and comes to a stop.
And dollars come out, actually. Don't forget the 2 biggest days of fundraising in the Trump campaign last year were the day that he produced the mugshot on a mug, the day after his appearance in Georgia at the state level, and the day of the other state case in New York, the New York District Attorney's case. He raised millions. So Donald Trump has found, as it were, a winning formula. You use the indictments to raise your money, but you push away anything that could actually look like a trial date or a prosecution until you have as much of the election campaign behind you as is possible.
The Newsagents USA.